is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am doing the New Year's resolutions book tag. So this is a video that is titled New Year's resolutions, and we're doing this near the end of January, mostly because I wanted a tag video and this fit the criteria for what I wanted, but obviously it is the new year. It's just not like quite new year, you know, like January 1st. I think it's still gonna work. This is actually something that I found when I was Googling for book tags, and I ended up on book blogs. The thing is, they all have links to like where they found this tag, and I eventually traced it back to YouTube, but the original creator, it's gone. They privated their channel or deleted their videos. I was not able to actually figure out who the actual creator was, even though I was able to trace this thing all the way back to its source. So for this case, I don't have the actual creator to credit, but it is not something that I came up with by myself. It is something that I found. And there are 12 different prompts here that we have, basically going into plans and goals, things that we want to read in the new year. Number 1 is an author that you'd like to read that you've never read. For me, I'm going with Darcy Coates. This book here, The Whispering Dead, was actually a gift from my friend Stevie, so thank you so much for that. I got it as a Christmas gift, and I've been wanting to read Darcy Coates for a while because she's an author that I see pop up in these horror spaces, but I've never read from her before. I've seen some people read from her and leave reviews and stuff, and it seems like overwhelmingly positive. This one here is Gravekeeper number 1, so it looks like it is going to be the first book in a series, and I personally love series. I don't know much about it except for, I believe, yeah, our main character can hear the unquiet dead whispering, and I'm very, very curious about this. So this is an author that I have never read from before, but I definitely want to give a try. Number 2, a book you'd like to read. So for this one, I'm going with our very first Patreon book club pick. I'm so very excited for this because this is my first time actually starting my own Patreon for a book club specifically, and we have officially voted, and this is the winner. Rosaline Takes the Cake by Alexis Hall. Now this is a book that I've had for a little while now, and it was actually a gift from Michelle's library, so thank you so much for this, Michelle. I have read Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. Absolutely love that one. 5 out of 5 stars. That one is a male-male romance that's like a fake dating sort of thing. This one has a bisexual main character who I believe is also a single mother, and there's going to be some sort of like baking competition, so I'm very, very curious to see how this one's going to play out. And like I said, it is the Patreon club pick, so we're going to be reading this in February, which is coming up very, very shortly, and I am so excited to read this one and discuss it with people. I feel like this is going to be a very good experience, and I'm just like so excited to read this one because it is a romance and it's from an author that I've loved before, so hopefully, fingers crossed, this goes well. Number 3, a classic that you would like to read. I don't read very many classics, but I do have some on my shelves, and I was definitely thinking about this one. It's going to be And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I have these really, really pretty Barnes & Noble leather-bound classic editions. I have 3 different ones from Agatha Christie. I've read Murder on the Orient Express, and that one is like a nice bluish teal cover. It also has some extra mysteries on there as well, but this one totally has And There Were None, Crooked House, and Endless Night. I think I'm just going to pick And Then There Were None because that I feel like is a very, very classic, well-known mystery from her, and I have not read that one, and I don't think I know the ending either. Murder on the Orient Express, I actually knew the ending somehow before I started reading that one, and like it came back to me as I was reading it, and I was like, I actually know the ending, but I'm very curious about this one, and so I probably won't read it right away. Probably will save it for like the fall time because like the vibes of this one, but I think that's the one I'm gonna go with. Number 4 is a book you would like to reread, and for that I'm actually gonna go with a manga. I'm gonna go with Princess Jellyfish by Akiko Higashimura. This is something that I have the entire series of. Volumes 1 through 9, these are omnibus editions actually, so each volume has I think 2 or 3 volumes in it. And the thing is, I've read most of this series, but I was reading them like on ebook as they were originally coming out in English, or some sort of fan translation. I can't fully remember. It's been years. And so I then eventually started picking up these beautiful copies here, and I don't think I've ever finished the series. Like, I think volume 8 and 9 are on my to be read shelves on Goodreads. Like, I don't think I ever finished it. I own the whole thing. So I think one of my goals for this year is actually going to be to finish the series. But since it's been so long since I've read it, I want to reread all the volumes that I have read before, starting with volume 1, obviously. And this series is about our main character here, Tsukimi, who lives with, like, geeky girls. They're all very, like, into niche things. Like, she loves Jellyfish, Princess Jellyfish. And she ends up meeting this very fashionable girl out one night. And then it's not exactly what you would expect. Like, I remember absolutely loving what I read of the series, and I just really need to continue. Number 5, a book you've had for ages and want to read. So for this one, I'm gonna go with The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. Mostly because the movie is coming out very, very soon, and I need to read this before I go into that. I'm very curious about both of them. I'm curious to see how this translates into a movie, and I've actually owned this one since my honeymoon with my husband. We went on our honeymoon in 2018, and it is now 2023. So that tells you something. It's been on my shelves for a while. This is the pretty UK edition. I love the UK editions of Paul Tremblay's books. Like, they're gorgeous. And I've actually never read a Paul Tremblay. This was going to be my first one, and I still haven't read it yet. So this is something that I really need to read. I don't know much about it except for it does follow a family who go, I think, on a cabin vacation, and then people show up talking about the end of the world. Like, I need to know what happens here, and then I want to watch the movie. Number 6, a big book you would like to read. So I have The Stand by Stephen King. I have had this on, like, my want to read list for a while now. I have talked about it in yearly TBRs for like the last 3 years or so. I am officially finally going to read it because I am doing a Stephen King year-long project. And so I've already read 2 books. I'm in the middle of a 3rd one. This is actually going to be like book number 5 on the list, so I'm supposed to start it at the very, very end of January and read it through most of February. So this chunker is officially going to happen, and I am so, so excited for it. I'm also excited for you guys to see the vlogs that I'm doing about the Stephen King project. You'll see as they come out. But yeah. The chunker, The Stand, is going to be read. I don't know much about it except for I do think it has to deal with some sort of plague or pandemic. Number 7, an author you've read previously and would like to read more of. For this one, I'm going with Rachel Caine. So I actually have read a few different books by Rachel Caine. I've read the first book in this series, which is Still House Lake. This is an adult, like, mystery thriller series. The first book was about a woman who her husband ended up being like a killer, and then a few years later she moves to a different town, she's under a different name, and killings start happening again that are very reminiscent of what her husband used to do. This is the second book in the series that I have not read yet. I don't know exactly how closely it follows the first book, but like, I need to read more in this series. I also have Ink and Bone and the entire series of this one by her as well. This is the Great Library series. It is YA, and it's going to follow libraries. I actually don't know anything else about it. I've read the first book of her Morganville Vampire series last year. I gave it like 4.5 stars, really enjoyed it, and to continue with that one. And then I've also read the combo, I think it was Honor Among Thieves, that was actually written by her and Anne Aguirre. That is a young adult sci-fi, and I have the entire series of that as well. I have all of her books basically because she did pass away a few years ago, and I was like in the middle of some stuff, and I was like, I need all the stuff. So I have a ton of things by her that I definitely need to read. Number 8, a book that you received for Christmas and would like to read. I would say even just a book that was gifted, because I know a lot of people that might want to do this tag don't celebrate Christmas, but I did pick a Christmas present. I have The Deep by Rivers Solomon. This was a gift from Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe. This is going to be Afrofuturism. It has something to do with sirens or mermaids. I've heard amazing things about this book and this author, and I love the cover. It's a novella as well, so this should be very easy to read, and so this is definitely on my goal for 2023. Number 9, a series you would like to read from start to finish. So I have the Hush Note series. This is a trilogy by 3 different authors. They're all romance novels, rock star romances. They're all indie books as well, and I think because of the fact that it is by 3 different authors, they are connected but not fully connected, like one after the other. It should be very easy for me to read. So we do have Lies and Lullabies by Serena Bowen. This is gonna follow one of the guitarists, and I believe this one actually has a hidden pregnancy trope or an unexpected pregnancy trope, just so people are aware. I also have Riffs and Refrains by Daphne Perry. This is going to follow the drummer in the band. And then I also have Muses and Melodies by Rebecca Yarros. This, I believe, is another guitarist or a bassist. I actually don't know which one is which for book 1 and book 3. I also don't know any tropes from 2 or 3 because I mostly know about the first one. And I'm very, very curious about all of these. I love the covers, and so I want to read all 3 of these books in 2023. Number 10, a series that you want to finish that you have already started. So I want to read Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the last book in the Last Hours series. It is going to be coming out at the very end of January, and I'm going to a book signing at the beginning of February. I think it's like February 4th is when she's coming to Arizona. I'm so excited. I need to know how this wraps up. It is part of her Shadowhunter world. It is the series that is after the Infernal Devices. It's all sort of interconnected, so it's not something that you can necessarily jump into 100% by itself, unless you're okay with, you know, knowing that you're missing a little bit of like what happened before, because this is a series that follows the kids from the parents that were in Infernal Devices, if that makes sense. But I am absolutely in love with the Shadowhunter world and this series, and so it is coming out. I have already pre-ordered it, and I'm going to a book signing, so I need to read this book. Number 11, do you set reading goals? Yes, obviously. And if so, how many books do you want to read in 2023? So as I stated, I think in my reading resolutions video, I upped my reading goal to 150 books for this year. I usually do like around 100, but this last year, even being pregnant for 6 months and then having a newborn for 6 months, I still read over 100 books. And then the 2 years prior to that, I was reading over 200 books. So I upped it to 150 books for this year. I'm hoping to hit that. So far, I'm on track still, which is not really saying much, I guess, because it's January, but 150 books. And then finally, number 12, are there any other reading goals? So my only other main reading goal for this year is the 23 in 2023 list that I'm doing, which is actually 23 indie books in 2023. That was a challenge started by MJ James, who is the author of this book here, In Between, which they kindly gifted to me. I am so excited to read this one. This is actually one of the books that I want to read for the 23 indie books in 2023. They have the challenge going over on Instagram. There are, you know, templates that you can use for it, and yeah, I'm challenging myself to actually read 23 different indie authors' books in 2023. So if I do end up reading multiple books by the same author, I'm not necessarily counting that for my goal, although I'll still put it on the templates. But this book here by this author is actually, I don't know a ton about it. I know it's fantasy. I know it's following a mother who is autistic, and I am so intrigued about that. Like, that is the whole thing that sold me about this book. So yeah, fantasy, mother character, and we have diversity in it. Like, I am so excited. So yeah, that is another big goal for me, is the 20 indie books in 2023. And so that is going to be it for this tag. Like I said, I know we're going into the end of January already, and it's supposed to be like a New Year's resolution sort of thing, but I thought these questions and prompts were still perfect to do to sort of show you the books that I want to read in 2023, some of the goals that I have, some of the authors I want to read, that kind of thing. So if you would also like to do this video, feel free to be tagged, and I will leave the questions and everything down below for you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye!